Good afternoon, everybody. This is Christopher Allen. I'm coming to you live with Clark Quinn and Michael Allen. And we thought we'd get together today and talk a little bit about mLearning. And we're really excited to have Clark offering an elective through the Allen Academy. And thought I'd get Clark and Michael talking this afternoon about some of the issues with putting courses on a phone and developing a strategy. And so I'm going to hand it over to them and moderate as best I can as we stream to you live.
All right.
Thanks.
Well, this is a real opportunity, Clark, to get to talk to you. As you know, oh my God. I'm sorry.
Mobile wants to have a word with us.
This is really live, isn't it? And it was really an opportunity because Clark, every time I read something you've written or you talk, I take away something really valuable for me in my work. So I know that the people who enroll in the Allen Academy are going to have just a tremendous opportunity to advance their skills and to do better work. So, yeah, no, I mean it. And today we're talking about one of the areas that you have really focused on for some years, and that's mobile learning. And mobile learning is a special thing. I think it's not just courses on your phone, right? There's more to it than that, maybe quite a lot more.
Yeah. So there have been successes with courses on a phone. Busy executives who were bopping around, couldn't find time in their office because they're always getting distracted, were able to finally on the planes, before they had Wi-Fi at least, there was a big success case of some compliance stuff that had to be done. And the executives were finally taking care of it on their phones on the plane. But that is such a small proportion of what's possible. And you have to get beyond that courses on a phone mentality to really get the opportunities that mobile, brings us of this anywhere, anytime opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So, we're everybody's mobile now. Everybody's got a phone. Is that the reason that mobile is so popular now, or are there other reasons why even if we weren't doing everything on our phone, would we want to do things mobile for learning purposes?
Well, yes. So, I believe the statistics, this may be global now. It certainly was the case in many parts of the world for quite a while now. There are more subscriptions than there are subscribers. I mean, people have more than one device. It's not just one. And there's a reason for that. There are two actual reasons that I can think of. One is to use downtime. I'm commuting, I'm, on traveling, have this downtime. I'm waiting in line. I can be productive. I can be useful. I can be entertained. So that one is, but the more interesting one is getting information partly because of where you are, getting help right in the moment, wherever and whenever. That to me, I think is the real opportunity we have on tap with these devices.
Yeah, there's nothing like having help when you need to perform, right? And you're on the spot or know you're going to be in 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Really helpful to have some support then, rather than 3 weeks ago I got training on this, now I have to deliver.
Right.
I hope I remember everything, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's hard to get stuff to stay into our heads. You've been one of the great advocates of actually doing learning meaningfully. And when you do that, you realize it takes a lot more than just throwing a bunch of bullet points if you're going to actually have people need it 3 weeks later. So helping in the moment. And there are certain things our brains aren't good at. Our brains are pattern matchers and meaning makers. And we're really bad at remembering rote and arbitrary and large quantities of information, or we're really bad at doing complex calculations in our head. And it turns out digital technology is almost exactly the opposite. So when we put our together with these resources that are, complement what our brains do well, we're far more capable. And that's really the opportunity, that people are seeing. This is why people have it, because they can reach out, they communicate, they can also get answers in the moment. My wife tells me when people ask her questions at the nursery where she works, she will look up stuff that, she's been studying and knows a lot of it already. But every time, if she doesn't know the answer, she looks it up and she's learned something, and the customer's better served. I mean, it's just that sort of in the moment help.
There's certainly a lot of cases where you can feel well prepared, and then you're in a situation, you find out, oh, this isn't exactly what I was expecting. I mean, all kinds of situations. You can be rolled under your car and trying to make a small repair, and you see something that's really
I fix my dryer that way. Looking up something online and being able to access it. By the way, if I ever had to do that again, I'd have to look it up again. I didn't learn anything, but I was very effective at solving the problem.
Yeah. I remember some years ago, a company had hired one of our studios to develop training on copy machines they had. And they had a ton of copy machines. And they tried to train all of their employees on the advantages and disadvantages of all those machines. And, nobody was going to remember all that. Nobody was going to. And so salespeople, and we had this happen in other cases too. We were working with 3M for a while ago, and they have so many adhesives, and they wanted to train everybody on the advantages and disadvantages of all their adhesives. And another company, an insurance company, wanted us to train all of their people on all of the insurance policies they offered and where each one fitted and where they didn't. Nobody is going to remember that. And so what did the sales teams do? They all picked a few of their favorites, and they only sold those because they could remember those and so on. But now with mobile help, people can have a conversations with clients, understand what the needs are, then get some help from their mobile device and come back and say, here are the products that really fit your need. And with having some background training, they can elaborate on that, whereas they were just dead in the water without that kind of help.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, but now they can actually put in the order and make it right there instead of having to take it back to the office and fill it out and send it back to them and get the signature. Here, we just figured out the right thing. Let's get the whole transaction done.
It seems to me that being mobile changes what you teach, when you teach it, and what kind of support mechanisms you put in place to help people perform with a higher level of expertise.
Yeah.
So I think I may be leading more than I meant to in that comment, because I wanted to ask you why organizations should really care about mobile learning.
Well, one of the phenomena we're observing is people are more and more mobile. They're more and more on their feet. They're more and more working from home. So having that capacity to make people productive wherever and whenever they are is an overall productivity boost for the organization. But we can also go further. They can get help in the moment. They can do stuff right then instead of having to take it back. So you're just reducing friction, increasing opportunity. It's about outcomes, and organizational outcomes are better. Plus, you can reduce errors, you can reduce time, you can increase success rates. All these types of tangible benefits are on tap.
Right. So what should L&D do to help an organization take greatest advantage of the capabilities of mLearning?
Right. Well, in my mind, L&D should be the folks who know most about how our brains work, right? there's interface designers, but not the operating system, not IT, not finance. So they have the opportunity to understand the situation best and come up with the variety of solutions. It may be, it depends on your view of L&D. Is L&D just a small part of HR, or is it responsible for all performance support and solutions? But I think it should take the broader view. And to me, this is an opportunity to go in with a tool that gives you increased success wherever you are. And I think L&D has the opportunity to be those people responsible to sort out what are, if we're about increasing performance and mobile is a tool for increasing performance, L&D should be on top of it. And it's, to me, strategically, it's a real opportunity to become critical to the success of the organization.
Yeah, I so agree with that. I wish I could get organizations to stop looking at training as a burden and a cost and see it as a competitive advantage that it really can be. And L&D should be on the forefront of that, showing how their organization can beat the competition, which it's all about very often. How can we provide customers a superior level of service, product and service? That's what L&D really needs to focus on these days, because if you're not moving with these advancing technologies, you're going to be in trouble because your competitors most likely are.
Well, that's it. And also, and I like to see L&D not just taking care of, successful performance. And I think that's critical, optimizing, what we know we need to do and making sure we're doing it as effectively as possible, but also moving into that continual learning. And I think that's a big opportunity that's facilitated by technology as well. And having the ability to do that whenever, wherever, increases not just our ability to execute on the stuff we need, but support that continued innovation that's going to be, in my mind, increasingly important for organizational success.
Right, and that really fits with the movement to a deskless workforce today, right?
And yes, I think you're right there. I think that's an astute observation. Increasingly, as people are mobile, they're not taking laptops. It depends on what your definition of mobile is. Some people include laptops in it. I don't, because I like to think of mobile as something you naturally can use standing or walking. And that's not a laptop. Holding it like this and typing on that is with one hand is not really natural, okay? Whereas the mobile devices are. And if we're increasingly being mobile and increasingly using these devices for our interaction, and they're getting increasingly powerful. The most recent iPad, the most powerful iPad now has a more powerful processor than the lowest Mac laptop.
Isn't that something?
So, yeah, isn't it? So as people are using more flexible devices, we can expect that people need to be able to work no matter what device they're working on and where they are. And that's, another opportunity. And some of that's just straight, organizational enterprise software, but some of that's very much an opportunity for L&D to look for ways in which it can be of more value to the organization.
If I can interject, I think what's interesting about some of the conversations that you guys have had about how a mobile phone can both, or a mobile device, be a support for performance in the moment of need, both for the organization's employee, but potentially also a client. There's an interesting, I think, component to what can L&D reasonably teach, and where should the handoff to a performance support component be, so that for the customer, it doesn't feel awkward. We've got I think, a social acceptance that all of us are going to be on our phones, and even at dinner or in the middle of a conversation, it's not uncommon for the other person to pull out their phone and look at something while that conversation is still going. But I think from an organization's perspective, the space where training and elaboration stops and performance support starts on the phone, and where that ends again for the client, is something that should get, I think, maybe more study than it does. And I think that's something that L&D can help with. We know where we might end our training and let the performance support continue, but make sure that that's seamless in the interaction with the client, so they feel like the performance support tool on the device was both a help to the employee and to the customer.
Yeah, and I think that's a matter of design. It should come from the analysis. We should be looking at what can be in the world and what has to be in the head, and then we should develop it together, because most situations aren't going to be one or the other. I suspect most situations are going to be looking at them both. And increasingly, I talk what I call, backwards design. Go back, look at what you're doing, go back, figure out what can be in the world, develop that, then develop the training with that known. I don't think that's unique to that's really a performance consulting approach in general, I suspect. But I still think absolutely we need to stop thinking about one platform or one approach being the total solution. We need to start looking at blending in many different ways.
Yeah, for sure. And I know even at the beginning of capabilities becoming widely available for mLearning, people would imagine trying to take what's on a big screen and cram it down into that little one, thinking, you get that stuff on that screen, it'll be too small, I can't even read it. I'm even having trouble with just basic text and a lot of stuff. But even I feel strongly about principles of learning where people need to be active in the learning process. And I do like, of course, animations and graphics and things that support it. But I know with good instructional strategies, you can work just with audio if you want, and so you don't have to be walking around with your phone in front, walking into lampposts, while you're trying to learn something. You can have that thing in your pocket, and you can be working interactively by hearing a challenge being proposed to you in a learning context, and then you can speak and you can say what you would do. You could choose an option or give some keywords. You can talk back to it, and it'll respond. So there are all kinds of paradigms that can minimize the challenges of the platform and maximize the utility of the unique capabilities that it's got.
Well, indeed, there are a number of channels. I mean, mobile phones, there's text and voice and live voice versus canned audio. And then there's what's on the screen, and the list goes on. And, some of the messages are just being vibrations that clue you to turn left or right from some of the wearables now. The form factors are just fractal growth type of thing. Just every single niche is being filled with something.
It's exciting time. And, there have been many times during history that people have said, well, everything that could be invented has been. Next day, just absolutely revolutionary new things. So it's exciting. So before I ask you, I think, to conclude in a summary of whether some of the things that people who enroll in your course at the Academy are going to take away, let's just review a little bit of what are the key advantages and maybe even the disadvantages of mobile learning as you see it.
Well, the key advantage is going beyond, location-based. So we can be reaching you at your time of convenience, your place of convenience. We can be providing help wherever and whenever you are, and letting you reach out and touch other people. The disadvantages, of course, as you mentioned, are slightly that small screen is a challenge. It requires a different type of thinking to do it. Not everybody would immediately think of audio, as you were rightly suggesting. So it to me, it takes a different mindset, but it's really can be powerful when you take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It is an exciting platform, not just a restrictive platform as I think a lot of people first view it. Yeah. So Your course is going to be an exciting one at the Academy, I know, because we review the content that you're going to be covering. But how about hitting just some of the highlights of takeaways that people who enroll in that course are going to get?
Well, I kind of break it up into 4 or 5 major categories. 4 major categories of mobile. It's not courses on a phone, but augmenting formal learning to make it more effective, stick better. Performance support, which we've been talking about, but social and informal learning as well. They are tools to reach out and touch other people. Particularly at this time, that's important to not touch them physically. And then finally, the real opportunity with mobile for me is contextual, is doing something because of when and where you are. Using all those sensors and the increasing list of capabilities that those things have, we can start doing things specifically because of your context and giving you contextual support. So that's the fourth, and to me, I think performance sports kind of its natural niche, but I think the most interesting opportunity is contextual. And the fifth note, besides general introduction, is strategy. Just thinking a bit about if you start using mobile, what are the entailments? What do you have to think about? What do you have to worry about? What should you put in place to help, make it succeed? If you're going to invest in it, what are the success factors? So I think.
Excuse me, to interrupt.
No, I'm done.
Yeah, so people are going to have a chance to see some examples of what others have done, right, and be able to learn from that work, because I know you have a depth of connection throughout the industry of what people are doing.
So we will see examples, and we'll also, be giving some design challenges to get familiar with thinking that way.
That's great. Well, thanks, as always, just very informative. Thank you so much, Clark.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, Michael and Christopher.
Yeah, thank you both. I really appreciate it. Well, we'll have to get back together for another live broadcast soon and pick up on other topics. I think there was good, valuable conversation in this, and look forward to doing it again.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
You bet.
Bye.